Hey everyone, we're back to go ahead and repair this Nokia 521. It's got a crack just right here in the middle of the screen, so it does need the glass replaced. This is a pretty easy repair job. The LCD and the glass are separate, so we won't be doing anything crazy with glue. What we need to do is just disassemble the phone and remove the glass from the frame and go ahead and put everything back together. Use a couple tools. We got a couple guitar picks. We have a suction cup, and then we'll need a screwdriver as well. We're going to go ahead and pop in this guitar pick here. Let's go ahead and pull out the back for us for the battery. You can go ahead and pop the battery out as well. The next step is to go ahead and remove all of the screws around the exterior of the phone, all the way down the sides. They are Torx T5, and a couple of them are a little bit shorter and have different threads than the rest, so make sure you understand where you took them out from on the back of the device. That way you can reinsert them in the correct order. There is a few screws on the back of this, so it'll take you a few seconds to get them all out. Making good progress. Looks like there's about 4 more to go. All right. Should be the last one. I'm going to go ahead and use our opening tool around the side of the device here. It's going to kind of wiggle it back and forth. You'll see that there's little clips on the side that'll help you pop it open. Insert our tool from the top, possibly. Maybe the bottom here. Let's kind of try to wiggle it, stick it in a little bit, twist it. I'm not being extremely forceful. I'm just twisting my tool back and forth. And I'll go ahead and get us started here. Once you get it mostly open, you can kind of wiggle it free. Just like that. We can go ahead and set the backing aside. You can see the internal components of the device. You need to pop up all the ribbon cables here. This one here for the digitizer and glass. This one down here. There's these little clips down the side that seem to hold the logic board in. Normally if you pry around these or near the area, it'll go ahead and pop right out for you just like that. That'll get us into the middle of the back of the phone. We're going to go ahead and remove the glass. It's actually on a separate frame from the LCD. Alright, the next step is to go ahead and pop the mid-frame out of the glass. We're just going to use our pick here and go down the side. You can see the little clips that actually just hold the mid-frame onto the glass itself. We're just going to go down and pop these out one at a time around the side of the device here. You can see it's popping right off for us. Now if you have a bad LCD, this is also a step. You just pop the LCD out right here and put the new one in. Ours is good, so we're going to leave it. We just push this cable through here. We can pull it right off, like so. That's how you replace the LCD in this phone. We're just going to go ahead and put it back in. Go ahead and set it aside. Now, the glass that I bought didn't come with a little plastic frame around it. If yours has it, then this next step isn't really necessary. We're just going to go ahead and use our suction cup here to help pull the glass after we've heated it up off of this plastic frame. We don't want to get it too hot because we actually want to reuse this plastic frame. We'll just take our time and get it warm. We want it warm to the touch, but we don't want it too hot that we can't touch it. If you notice the frame starts to get a little shiny, a sheen to it, then you may have overheated it and you want to let it cool before you start trying to pry on it. We're using the suction cup because it'll make sure that we don't have any tool marks on the bezel of the device. I've learned that's one of the easiest ways. The suction cup's actually just a tile suction cup. You can get them off of eBay for like $4, and they work pretty good. You know what? Looking at this, we may not even need to use our suction cup. We might just be able to push it through the camera hole, but we'll use it anyways just for show. There we go. We've got it open. We're just going to go ahead and move our tool around the bezel of the device. Got it nice and warm, so the adhesive's just popping right out for us. So we have some adhesive here, so it's going to pull our cable out. And the bottom has the most adhesive out of any place on the device. You want to be careful. If you don't have it warm enough, you don't want to crack or bend the frame. We do have to have this to reuse the device. So I'm just going to use my tool here. Make sure that I really start to separate it before I start trying to pull it off. It's still nice and warm. If it's not warm enough, you may want to give it a little more heat. But using our tools here, that'll get us to separate. Let's pull it away from the glass. All right. We'll go ahead and use our pick here and scrape down the side and try to get all of this glue or this double-sided tape out. The goal is that we're going to lay down some new adhesive, so we want to make sure that there's nothing in here that's going to really pull the new glass away from the mid-frame of the device. So let's take our time and clean all of this off and make sure there's no residual glue or tape left on this plastic frame here. Now be careful, you don't want to damage it, but you do want to remove it. So just take your time and use a nice pressure to pull it off. A flat pry tool or something pointy can be helpful. To get it started and you take your time and you pull it away, sometimes it'll come off all in one piece. Just working our way down the sides of the phone here, or the frame. Getting it all cleaned up. A little more over on this side here. Now sometimes there'll be little pieces of shattered glass. You definitely want to make sure you get all of those out if your screen was shattered rather than just cracked. Those can be the worst thing for the new glass. It'll give you a definite ridge, and as your phone maybe gets hot or it's out in the sun, you'll see the glass start to pull away from the mid-frame, and that usually means that you have to take the whole entire thing back apart and re-pull the glass up and put the adhesive back down. It's really a pain in the butt to do it more than once. So just make sure that you're diligent and make sure you clean everything up. Getting close, just need to clean up the side here. Some really dense tape on this phone. Alright, now you can see that it looks pretty nice and clean. We're just going to double check and make sure that everything's going to sit flat for us. Looks good. Frame's not distorted, not bent. The next step is to go ahead and apply the adhesive tape that we have to the bezel of the device. I just bought this stuff off eBay. It's just some 3M double-sided tape. I have a couple different versions. I have a 5, a 2, and a 1 millimeter. So you'll be using a variety of them when we're putting this device back together. See that one on the left or the right there is the 5 millimeter, nice and wide. Now we want to make sure we don't cover up any of the ports that is needed for the device. So things like the front-facing camera area, any of the sensor ports, anything that has a cutaway, don't cover that up. Any screw holes you want to make sure you try to leave open as well, if they're inserted from the front. I'm just going to take this and cut this to fit. We don't want to overlap on top of the bezel at all. We want to make sure that it's slightly short of hitting the edge, or it hits the edge just right. Now as you do this, you want to make sure your tape doesn't wrap over on top of itself. So just make sure that there's no ridges in it at all. You want to lay down as much adhesive surface as possible. That's really what keeps everything stuck down. You don't want to skimp on the taping. I'm going to switch to our thinner piece here. This is our 3 millimeter tape. Go across the top to make sure we don't cover up any of the ports here. Make sure we leave the speaker, earpiece speaker grill open. Go across the top here. Just make sure there's enough room for that cable to get through. It's a little bit on the thick side for what I'm doing, so I'm just going to try to trim it just a tiny, tiny bit. See if I can't get it to fit a little bit better. It's a little hard to cut this tape lengthwise. That should be good. Perfect. Now the cable slot is nice and free and open. Saying don't cover or up the speaker grill. The corners are pretty important. That's where it seems like the device pulls up a lot, as the corners are on the side where there's not as much surface area for the glass to adhere down the sides of the device. Now normally I use a 1 millimeter tape, but the bezel on this device is nice and thick, so we can actually put down this, I think it's 2 or 3 millimeter tape here. It'll actually go past the plastic portion of the phone, but the glass will cover it up so you actually won't see it. And I'll show you what I mean by that in just a few seconds. Down the opposite side, just to make sure it gets nice and straight all the way down. Let's cut it to fit. And there we have it, a lot of adhesive for this. So I'm going to put the glass on here. We don't want to see any white underneath it. And you can see that it covers everything up. So that means wherever tape's at, it's going to be covered by the glass. And that is perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for. Next step is to go ahead and remove all the backing off all of the tape. You can use a pick or a nylon spudger to help you just push this down in place. The edges are important as you pull a tape off. You don't want it to ripple or pull away from the device. So I'm just trying to make sure that all the edges and the middle don't have any sort of a seam or crease in them. Excellent. Go ahead and start at the top. It rippled right there. I'm just going to try to lay it back out flat, which it did, so there's no need to replace it. Sometimes the backing wants to be pain. Alright, so you can see that everything's been removed. The next step is insertion of the glass, but we need to make sure we remove this back cover here first. Now once you remove this film, you want to be careful not to touch the back side of the glass. I inspected it before I removed it. There's no dust particles underneath it or anything. You always want to check for that. I've taken those back covers off and I've had them have dust underneath them. So I'm being careful to only touch the plastic portion of the bezel on the back side. As I say that, I drop it, which is great. We're just going to go down the sides and we're just going to pinch it, make sure that all the adhesive is stuck on nice and tight. Make sure the ribbon cable is pulled all the way through. So we'll have enough length to reattach to the logic board. Take our LCD here and the mid frame of the phone. Now I'm just going to spray it with some compressed air here real fast to make sure we get any dust off. If you do have any fingerprints, just a little bit here, just use a microfiber cloth, a dry microfiber cloth, and just rub the fingerprints away. You can use just some of your breath, hot air, just blow on it and kind of gets that fog on it and use that as the moisture to wipe it off. You don't want to use a lot of stuff on this because it's easy to streak. It's hard to unstreak. Everybody always says that the fingernail polish stuff doesn't streak, but I've never had a lot of success using that. Acetone is what it's called. Next step is we're going to go ahead and just reapply the glass and the LCD together. So it just clips back into place. Just put it together and then you can push on the glass and it'll snap right back in for you. Just clip all the clips in all around the device. Once you have it together, you can really make sure that the device is re-adhered on. Make sure that the glass is on. I usually take it, set it over, and then kind of press on the back a little bit. We're going to go ahead and reinsert our logic board. You want to make sure you go underneath the little clips on the frame. On the upper left-hand corner there, you can see there's a little black clip that overlapped. Just pushing down, we'll go ahead and clip it back into place. Go ahead and reattach our glass digitizer cable. LCD cable down here at the bottom. We're just going to test it real quick, if it'll let us. There's always so many buttons on the side of the Nokia, I always have a hard time determining which one's which. It's not going to power on for us. We're going to go ahead and put our back on here real fast. Snap it into place. See if that gives us kind of the leverage that we need to get the battery to make contact. So our buttons are on the back of the housing here. Just going to try to push it down with our dental pick here. Just put a charging device on it here real fast. There we go. It was just out of battery. See that it's definitely dead. We'll give it a few seconds to charge. Go ahead and put in all the Torx wrenches, Torx screws in now. Normally I turn on and test it. I'm 100% sure this device is going to work. Now that I know that the LCD is working for us. But I would suggest powering it on and just testing the touch function before you go too much further. You do that before you put all the Torx screws on. If it functions just like you want it to, go ahead and put all the screws back into the back of the device. Just remember exactly where they all came from so you can put them in the right spot. Just working your way down the side of the device. Now I'm not putting these in extremely tight, I'm just making sure that they're nice and firm. A few more to go. Go ahead and pop the back on. We'll go ahead and power it on. Probably need our charging cable here. Now, if you found this video useful, go ahead and hit the like button. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments. Be more than happy to try to help you out. Unfortunately, phone is still completely dead for us. It definitely does function. Here we go. Got our start screen on for the T-Mobile here. You want to see any future videos? Just go ahead and subscribe to me. I do lots of different devices out there. Touch the touch functions here real fast. Make sure it's going to function for us. Perfect. You see that everything works great, and you have a brand new piece of glass on there. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys on the next video.